Joining me right now is Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming. Senator, it's good to have you here, and I want to remind everybody that you sent a letter to the president last week asking him to drop Hagel's name from consideration, and on that same day we had Republican Senator Richard Shelby of Alabama saying that he would support Hagel, ultimately saying he's probably as good as we're going to get. Why are you still against Chuck Hagel moving forward and being confirmed?
Well, thank you, Thomas, for having me. I think he's the wrong person to lead the Department of Defense. It is the largest employer in our country, as significant management skills are needed. But I also believe that he has been wrong. He has a long history that is, to me, unsettling in terms of positions on Iran, Iraq, Israel, and nuclear weapons. And I think, Thomas, anybody that watched the confirmation hearings knows that he appeared very weak and very wobbly, and we need strong leadership and sound judgment, and I just don't think we have that with Chuck Hagel.
Is this more about the fact that getting a former Republican in charge of defense just means this is all about sequestration and the fact that major budgetary cuts are coming to our defense, and this provides a great way to get those cuts done because a Republican will be overseeing them?
Well, there are some that have suggested that. I just think Chuck Hagel has a long history of being wrong on so many issues that if you have somebody as Secretary of Defense whose role it is to advise the president in terms of national security, I think he's the wrong person to be there. Now, Leon Panetta, who's going out, and I did support his nomination, he has talked about the sequester and the impact on the military, but Chuck Hagel has said that the Defense Department is bloated and there's plenty of area to cut.
Sir, the New York Times editorial piece has an article out today basically drawing up contradictions to what your concerns are, saying it's one thing to raise serious questions about a candidate's character or political views. It's quite another to distort a nominee's view on Israel and Iran, as some conservative Republicans and the most rigidly pro-Israel groups have with Mr. Hagel. And our first team, they write today, quote, "The extra week plus that Republicans got after filibustering Hagel seemed to have revealed only that a bogus group of friends of Hamas never existed." Do you feel that there are now serious exposures of why the right was weary of Chuck Hagel? I mean, he's making his way through, but he's going to be a bloodied defense secretary.
Well, I think he's going to be a bloody defense secretary because of his own performance during the hearings. When the administration folks had to send him notes as he was testifying to tell him what the position of the administration is, I think that was very damning. And I've talked to Democrats who are concerned about his nomination as well, but are going to vote for him because he's the president's nominee. But he's been wrong on Iran. I believe when he opposed sanctions, he was only one of 2 senators to do that. We now have North Korea with nuclear testing and developing a missile because their goal is to send nuclear weapons into the United States to hit us on our own homeland. And yet he talks about even unilaterally disarming ourselves as a nation in terms of our nuclear arms. So I believe he is the wrong choice. And those are just some of the reasons but I think he is not qualified to be Secretary of Defense.
Again, presuming that he passes the cloture vote coming up at noon, Senate Dems hope to get Hagel voted in later today. Chair of the Senate Republican Policy Committee, Senator John Barrasso. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Thomas.